Here we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. I know it's been a while, but I figured I'd try to come back and in video. I said that I was going to wait and get a bunch of my gear in my studio together, but then I realized, what the hell stopped me from just recording it in my room? Doesn't really matter, right? Who actually gives a shit? I know I don't, which is why I'm doing this now. So, I have my notes here. It is freezing outside, Halloween night, which means, of course, as I always say, makes it a lovely night for it. It being the continuation of my first relationship story. Now, I almost didn't want to do it because, I don't know, I started to get really personal on there. And as much as I do want to open up to people on a podcast, obviously, it's got to be honest, or else, what the fuck am I doing it for? It just seemed, I don't know, a bit much, even though I did hold back some things. But I figured, hey, especially with what's going on recently, I might as well take some notes, jot down a plan, a rough outline, maybe like a page or two, whatever, and go over with you some of the lessons I learned from the aftermath of my first relationship. Now, getting started here, I have breakup day. Oh, okay. So, it was February 27th, 2014. And I was walking home from my bus stop at school. I was in high school at the time, of course. And, the friend that I brought up on the previous episodes, the one that I had re-met this girl through and hung out with and all that, close friend of mine, called me up and was really, really pissed off with me due to whatever it was that me and this girlfriend of mine had been fighting about, which of course spilled over into problems in the relationship with the other two that I mentioned in the last episode or two. So she essentially says, don't ever talk to me again. Fuck you. Now me, I'm like, what happened? I don't get it. I don't know why this is going on. So I dial up my girlfriend at the time. And this is at, I think, 3 p.m.-ish. I was walking back up the end of my street. And she sounds very odd. Very, almost worried would be the best word for it. And of course, me being my nosy, constantly worried about herself, I inquire. By that I mean, I keep fucking asking until she tells me, because I was an annoying piece of shit, as I explained before. But, so I'm going to keep consulting my notes, by the way. That's the downside of this being on video now. I used to be able to plop my phone down, black screen, and stare at this thing. But you know what? There's too many points for me to do it totally off the top of my head. I need a bit of a rough outline. So, if you don't like it, fuck you. So, phone call goes like this. She tries breaking it off with me. I, of course, am in utter shock and debatably don't actually accept it like I didn't hear it. Before it eventually crumbles into the fucking awful, gross crying back and forth to each other that those things always seem to turn into. And what I get out of it is that she, through all the years of having a crush on me from afar, even after she thought she'd never see me again, I, in my behavior, had really pushed her away from that. There's a real point to it. There's a line that describes it well that I'll get to later on in my notes when I get to later events that, play out. Because this isn't something that just ends off, on breakup day. there is a long, long history afterwards that I'm going to also explain. So, it doesn't end well. She essentially tells me she knew last time she saw me, which was actually 2 days before, I believe. We saw each other every Saturday, so I believe it was the 25th. She said, I realized on that day that I didn't love you anymore. Nowadays, I think it's if I ever did, because we were kids back then, and I don't think we really knew what love was, but that's what she told me, and that's how I remember it. So, sparing the details that I actually barely can remember, because I probably repressed it somewhere along the line, is, around 4:05 p.m., we, hang up. And I'm just pure shock. Now, I was home alone. My dad come home from work, actually around like 4:08 to 4:10, I think he'd get home. And in that time, I had been on the phone with her, pacing around the bottom floor of my house. We had this spare bedroom with an old bunk bed that I had back in my Burrillville days. It was the top half bed, bottom half futon. Cool little thing, but really just a showpiece at this point. It wasn't even up in my room. So I was pretty much collapsed with my elbows on the futon thing when I was on the phone with her. And after that, I fell backwards. I was already kind of on the ground, but I just dropped to the ground. And some of you who've seen good television, who've seen Breaking Bad, I've thought about this after the fact, because I didn't realize it till a long time after. If you remember the scene where Walter's asking Skyler, when he's going through that basement thing, where the money is that he was hiding away, and she goes, I gave it to Ted, and he's like, holy shit, we're gonna fucking die. And he lays back, and he's crying, and then the crying turns to fucking crazy supervillain laughter to the point of coughing. I did that. Staring up at the ceiling. If I were downstairs in that room, I could actually point out the spot where I was laying there. I looked up, was just crying, and started laughing in this disbelief laugh. And I could never really, I never really thought about it that much, but when I started to, I never got why. But I came to realize that this is going to sound very overly poetic, try-hard, douchey, but the person who fell down on the floor was not the person who got up from the floor a couple minutes later. At this point, I was changed in ways that I would say, to this day, I was put from one set of train tracks to another, and everything after that was all a domino effect. So I think that, for all intents and purposes, the kid who went down there pretty much died, and a new fucking out of the ashes dickhead, awful dickhead by the way, I'll get into that more, got up. So, yeah, the couple days after that weren't so great at all. And I mean at all. We did try to stay in touch. Barely, a little bit. I think I'd actually talked her into waiting to see if maybe we could work it out, because we were each other's first love, first this and that. It's all, all bullshit. But, of course, I had to try. So, I remember we actually stopped staying in touch. I was walking. Another thing where I remember exactly where I was when I was walking. We were on the phone call. We used to call all the time. Besides just texting every day, it was frequent phone calls. And I just want to check and make sure that sorry about that. The microphone is on the bottom. Okay, sorry. I wanted to make sure my equipment wasn't messed up, and then I'm going ahead in this recording. Yeah. Okay, behind the scenes shit. See, if I edited my videos, you wouldn't even see that. But anyways, we stopped talking because I had another moment of controlling asshole, which I didn't realize at the time. I always said I was doing all the wrong things for all the right reasons, is how I came to describe it. But that's just kind of an excuse. I really was controlling, but I didn't know it. I had nothing to compare it to. No one told me I was being that way, and she just put up with it, because I had my own quirky shit demons. She had her own quirky shit demons, but that's besides the point. So, it was over her dyeing her hair, which she never really did much. I had this thing back then, which I don't really have anymore. I don't even know why I was like this, but natural hair colors were like it for me. And she wanted to dye her hair like, was it half blue, half pink or something? Just fucking who cares? We were kids, but I made a big deal out of it, and I wasn't even her fucking boyfriend at the time. Just such, ugh. Just such, ugh. Just what a piece of shit. So we had one last couple minutes of a freak out, and I think we both said, like, alright, don't want to talk to you anymore, this is definitely not going to work out, bye, fuck you. And those bad terms led to another event I have written down on these notes. Harassment. One day I'm sitting in it was actually a computer drafting class with a load of my friends, and I get a Facebook message from a girl that I used to know in that town. We never had anything to do with the drunk text situation, but it was a girl that was actually from my street or around it. And she texted me fucking threatening me for what I did to her, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you actually talking about? We were 15, 16. Kissing was as far as we went. There was never anything physical. So I had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. So I told her off, whatever. Kept going. I think it was an extended day, so I was in that same class for 2 hours. It was the whole end of the day. What a cool fucking schedule my high school had. But I got a message from another girl. This one I didn't know as well. Calling me a piece of shit for how I treated her. And now I'm going, what? It starts to kick in. Holy shit, she must be shit-talking me to people. And I was like, wow, I never expected her to shit-talk me to people. She's not the shit-talking type. So, I go on with that, and it wasn't good. Enough to where I did something I never, ever do, which I actually got in touch with the school resource officer because I was worried about how far it would go. And he ended up contacting the school resource officer for that high school, the one I went to previously that she went to. And it became a big, big thing. They asked if I wanted to press charges against people threatening me or like pursue action. I'm like, oh God, no. I just want them to stop. When in reality, I wanted them to stop thinking whatever they were thinking. That made them come to me. Because imagine what it takes for you to go to some girl you know's ex-boyfriend to tell them how much of a piece of shit they are. That has to be an alarming amount of shit. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water. This takes a lot out of the mouth and the throat telling stories. Fuck. Hope you didn't have to hear that gross gulping noise. So, I actually end up talking to this girl's mom. And she was very shocked at it. I had walked out to the front of my high school, which I don't think you're allowed to do, but I did. So I had a long phone call with her. She was, of course, annoyed. She tended to be annoyed with me in the end. She must have known what was going on. And I think I don't even remember if I called her or if she called me because the school officer thing. But, my ex did not want to talk to me. And, I got into a long discussion with her mom. Her mom actually took my side Which, now that I think about it, doesn't surprise me. They didn't have a very good relationship, especially nowadays, I hear. But she was like, oh, airing out her dirty laundry like that, which I actually never heard that term before that phone call, and now I hear it all the time in regards to talking about shit you're supposed to, private business. Airing out her dirty laundry like that, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, it got to the point of me trying to get information out of her because I couldn't get it out of my ex. And she said to me something that this sentence actually echoed in my head for years and years, and still occasionally I think of it. When I asked what happened, or at least according to my ex's end, she said, I don't know, according to her, you were more of a parent than a boyfriend. And that, oh God, was that just... I can't describe that feeling fully. What that meant. Because I was always concerned because, holy shit, this girl, like, tried to kill herself once because of a fight with her parents or some, if anything else personal played into it. It was like I was out there thinking at the time that I was protecting her because her parents couldn't, because she wouldn't let her parents into her life with anything, even if it meant she would suffer because of it. If she had to bring her parents into it, it was a big no-no. I think I explained in the last one. I actually fucking emailed her teachers for her when she had problems and needed to, like, set up tutoring. Shit that a 16-year-old kid should not have to do. Imagine, I think I said this last time, but imagine being the teacher. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm a, like, 20, 30-year-old adult just looking, going, my student's boyfriend is emailing me. What the fuck? Oh, God, just cringe chills every time I think about it. Ugh. But that line really fucked me up. And, nothing ever came of the threats. I just blocked the people. And the school issue, nothing came of that. And we never really spoke again after that. I entered a period of really fucked up, deep sadness. Some soul-changing, mind-altering levels of internal, implosion. Personal attack. Like chipping away at my own self-esteem sort of thing. It was really bad. I even shaved my head. I actually, there's some on my personal Instagram, so if you go way, way to the first, 10 pictures was around that era. I used to have really sharp cheekbones, which I don't have now, no facial hair at all, strong butt chin, lips that were way too big for my face. And my hairline didn't look as bad as it does now, which is a bit concerning. But I used to have short sides, and I would imitate any of you, if any of you watch Doctor Who or ever did, like I used to. I don't anymore, because, but, I had perfect imitation David Tennant hair, 10th Doctor, that I used to pride myself on, even though it kind of looked like a bushel of fucking straw, because I used a lot of hairspray. And I didn't know hair back then like I do now. Yeah. But I shaved my head. I was super sad. I bought this black sleeveless hoodie. It was actually like a button-up vest. I still have it. I ended up buying a second one. But I still have the original somewhere. I never got rid of it because I bought it in March right after the breakup. So I went from the style back then was a plain white zip-up hoodie and a black leather jacket over, an old one my grandfather gave me that actually I still have right over there in my closet. It's the oldest piece of clothing I have. I started wearing it a month before I dated this girl, and I still have it and still wear it, and it's still going. That I didn't get rid of. But I used to go from that sort of sweatshirt, happy that that kid died on that fucking bedroom floor, because out of that was a t-shirt, shaved head, always perpetual bitch face, which I think I still have, unless I'm trying to consciously smile. It cursed me with resting bitch face. And a black button-up vest hoodie thing. It was some of the worst personality changes I would come to ever have. And they lasted for a long time and evolved into different things in different avenues. And I'd say right up until about a couple years ago, 2018, I think is when I realized I left that fully behind. But that domino effect began there, and it really fucked up my teenage life. I kind of wasted them away. You know, make do with what time you have, because once you fucking piss it away being miserable, being all edgy, mysterious, won't talk about my past guy. Whoa, who's that dark, sad guy in the corner at the party? Ugh, that was me, or at least trying to be that to gain sympathy or something. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't want to know when it comes to that. But that persona started back then, and it was... Yeah. I just keep resorting back to, it was bad, it was really bad, it was really bad. But that's just about the only way I can describe it correctly. Because there aren't a lot of words. There were a lot of inner thoughts that I had, and layers to my brain that I swam around in that I didn't know existed. And to this day, there aren't really words to describe it. You've either experienced this weird inner realm, or you think thoughts go as deep as just thinking. So it's hard to describe it as anything but really bad, a lot of suffering, tears, whatever, betrayal, regret, blah, 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 blah. That's sort of the only way I can word it. But, after that, it was a lot of that sadness just riding out. And it was May when I decided to take all of my remaining, all the gifts, all the stupid little things, notes back and forth, that sweatshirt, the pillow we used to lay on and make out on. We had a matching necklace that I got her for Valentine's Day. They were puzzle pieces that matched up, and they had both of each other's names on it. We had the other person's name, of course, and the day we started dating, which was September 14th, 2013. I had that all in there, and at my mother's house at the time, had this fire pit. I threw everything, including some very flammable, we had like bubble wands and shit, just stupid stuff. And they all went into the box. Everything. And it sucks because some of these things now I wish I had, because they have such stories. They're things that mattered in my life, and I burned them in the fire pit that day. Was it May 1st, I think? May 5th, May 13th, May 15th, I don't know. But I burned every last fucking thing to do with that relationship, including my own sweatshirt. And I never went back. I never wore plain white hoodies again. That's something that to this day I still don't. I wear gray and black. Talk about that fucking domino effect. Oh, and the sweatshirt, because I told you about that story of how she cut her wrist. I had this really, it's so cringy now, but back then it was the cutest thing to me and to people who knew about it. She had a bit of a scar where it went, and it went from about, I could show you guys now. It went from about here to here, and it had a very slight arc to it. And because she would cover it up a lot, I was like, oh, you know what? When you're with me, you don't have to carry this around alone with you. So with a Sharpie, I bought a dual set of Sharpies. I still have them over there. Really weird how I'm just realizing this. And on this white sweatshirt, I put 2 dots, like perfectly where the start and end of that scar was. And it was like, oh my God, you could see it so plainly. Oh my God, why did you ruin your thing? And it was like, so, you know, you can't hide yours away. So, there you go, I'll walk around with it too. I bear your burdens, you know, all that sort of shit. Half of you are like, aw, or half of you want to punch through your fucking screen. And I think I'm with the latter now, because I realize how cringy. Why did I do that? Anyways, I burned it all. Everything, even the fucking weird blue, you know that liquid that turns flames blue? That bubble shit must have really been... I'm surprised it didn't explode in my face, and it really should have. I really would have deserved it. But everything turned to ash except hanging on one of the logs from the chain, just swinging, charred but only on the surface, was that fucking puzzle piece necklace. And, ooh, I was mad. I don't know what I expected. It was metal. It was a real necklace I bought from a place in the mall. I think it was called Things Remember is the name of the store in Warwick Mall, which is still around. And I've bought things for other girlfriends and then soon had shit happen. I think that store is fucking cursed. But that was the first time. And I kept it in my room hanging from my light switch for a very long time until I realized a couple months later, I think, this has to go. Everything must die from this. I was full psycho, like, nothing must exist. Everything to ash. So, I took it into my basement, and with, it was still charred, but you can still kind of read it. With a metal hammer and the concrete floor, I smashed the dog shit out of it, and it wouldn't break. It had a couple of dents, but it wouldn't break. The chain did a little bit, and I think my dad used it for there's a couple lights down there that have pull switches. I think technically the necklace lived on then, because I think they're still there as part of those pull chains. Another thing I forgot about. So I took it and I said, oh shit, this has to go. So what I do, I took it to a nearby body of water, a pond, and I took it, chucked it into the pond. To this day, somewhere at the bottom of that pond is that little piece. And oh my god, I want to get a metal detector and get it back. Why'd I do that? There's so many collectible things. Like, it's still there. It's not gone. Everything else burned away. But that lived on, and it still does. And it's like, oh, if it's gonna exist, I want it, at least. But before I wrote this in my notes with a question mark because I didn't know if I was going to actually say it. And now, okay, never mind. That's going to look weird to some of you, but before I threw it, I think I knew that someday I might want it back because I kind of kept it afterwards as like a good luck charm to not forget what love and my happy times felt like, because as far as I was concerned, I'd never have happy times again. And before I threw it in the pond, I traced it on a piece of cardboard, and I put it in my wallet as another way to never forget or always carry it with me. And I've been through a couple wallets since then, but I never got rid of it. I remember this today when I was writing my little outline, that I still have this fucking thing. Carry it with me every day. Every single day. I outlined the piece, fucking 86'd it. And I thought I'd show you that. I know last time I pulled up the poem that she wrote for me when I remembered I had it in the moment. I've been told by people that it really slowed the momentum. But you know what? Shit like this adds to the story. And I don't mind if the constant storytelling kind of dips out. You know? To get that across. Or to give a little something extra. But yeah, I didn't date again until January of 2015. Which, is kind of another story in itself, because that relationship had its fair share of problems too, that I learned a whole lot from. Debatably more than this, but it didn't have as much of an impact as this relationship did. Yeah, but it was it was a bad time. But in November of, it was 2016 or 2017, I got the opportunity to hang out with this girl again through that very same friend who I ended up being friends with again after that breakup. To meet up after years and reconnect and end on better terms at that mall, the Warwick Mall, actually, the one where I bought the necklace. And I was in college at this point. I'd lived with years of, again, it changed me. And into my college years, I still carried a bit of that with me. So, of course, I said yes. And that Wednesday, I planned on seeing her once again. Now, this video is getting a bit long. My phone will cut it off if it goes over a certain amount of time. So this is part one of the aftermath and lessons that I've learned from my first relationship. Stay tuned. Part two is going to drop probably very soon after this. Not sure exactly what time or what day, but it will. Hit subscribe, stick around, and I'll continue with the finale of my story in part two.